All right, everyone. Welcome back to this week's podcast. This week we have a very special guest. He's Derek Tausig of Tausig Landscaping. He's actually a member of our Million Dollar Academy, and he's here today to actually talk about something different, actually something we haven't really talked about on this podcast, and it's snowplowing. So Derek, thank you for being here and taking the time to be here today.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, so we're super excited to talk to you about some snowplowing and snow removal, because I know you've actually said some of the other Academy members and some other people in the Facebook group have kind of reached out to you and asking about snowplowing. So you thought this would be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great thing to capitalize in the winter months. It's pretty good net profit. It's kind of fun for a little while. First 10 or 12 hours.
Yeah. After that, it kind of gets on you after a while and things start breaking down. But no, it is very profitable. I do love it. I love just the kind of the excitement, getting out there and beating the storm and doing what you can. It's always a little fun, a little nerve-wracking.
It can be high stress, especially if you have some important contracts. It could be a high stress, but I like a little stress in my life anyway.
Yeah, I think we all do. As far as landscapers, we kind of bring it upon ourselves too. So
yeah.
No, so what are some of the things that you kind of suggest for somebody that's kind of getting started in snowplowing? What are some of the things that they should consider and look out for? And
one important thing, starting out would be equipment. I really would never advise anybody to buy used snowplow already set up. So it's all right to buy a used truck, and then if you're going to buy a used plow, if it's a commercial plow, that's okay. But if you're buying a whole setup snowplow truck combo, somebody else has ragged it out pretty hard. Mm-hmm. I started out, and my very first plow truck, I thought I got an amazing deal. I had 40,000 miles on it, and had a plow and a salter, and it was ready to go. Sweet. Worst truck I ever bought. Brake lines are all rusted. Every time you touch anything, everything breaks. Mileage is irrelevant when you're talking about snowplow equipment.
Yeah. So transmissions get tore up.
Yep, absolutely destroyed. I don't mind buying a used snowplow. Mm-hmm. And then you could buy a brand new wire harness and brand new controller to go on it, as long as it's a high quality plow. Mm-hmm. I used Western straight plows when I first started, and I bought them used anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And then I bought a new mount for it and a new wire harness for it. And I had really good luck with them because they were just high quality commercial plows. Yeah. And that was the way I set mine up. It was my first, after that Ford I had bought, my first truck was a 92 K2500. And then I put a $500 plow that I'd bought off Craigslist on it, and a push spreader. And I went out and I made $4,000 or $5,000 in one snow event. And, I only had $2,000 in the whole truck and plow setup. So,
yeah. No, like you said, there's definitely good money into it. Would you suggest when somebody's looking for snow plowing, especially they're going to start getting commercial stuff, not really getting a half ton, kind of stepping up to like a 3/4 ton, or do you think half ton's sufficient?
If you can, trucks are hard right now. Trucks are hard to buy, and so it is pretty tough. So I can get that, but I would only do a 3/4 ton or bigger. Trucks aren't built on the front end for weight. Mm-hmm. They just aren't. So if you can, do a 3/4 ton. And I use Timbren bump stops in the front. Oh, yeah. They're I think $150, $200, and they really, when you lift that plow really fast, it just keeps your suspension from slamming. So that's a quick, easy add. And then I usually put overload shocks on the front or something too. But yeah, try to stick with 3/4 tons if you can. The old 90s square body Chevys are pretty beastly good plow trucks if you're starting out small. The trucks are just expensive right now, so I know that's tough. I did use a half ton, like a 99 Z71, and they have pretty good suspension on them. but like I did a transmission on it and a motor on it in the first winter. And so if I would have spent an extra $1,000, I wouldn't have been changing an engine in my driveway the night before a snowstorm.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah.
Never fun. Yeah, no, equipment is so important in snow plowing, obviously, because it's one of the main things you're using, and getting something reliable is huge. My first truck, my dad actually bought at an auction. I think it was NIPSCO auction. It's an electric company around us, and it was a stick shift, and it had the old cable snowplow controls in there. The pump was sat behind the seat. That was such a pain. Like cables freezing up, and
I had a cable plow.
Yeah.
On one of my first ones was a cable plow. Don't buy a used cable plow. Just don't.
No. The new ones are way more reliable and so much easier. So what are you running right now for snowplow?
I use all Western whiteouts. They're golden for me. I've got one that I bought 6 years ago, and it's been flawless. Just flawless. And now I've got 4. I've got 3 whiteouts and 1 whiteout XL. And the XL is like an 11-foot whiteout. And that's what I prefer. Yeah. And I use all Snowy X salters.
Do you prefer that over the whiteouts? So for those who are listening, if you're not sure of a whiteout kind of has wings that will slide out, and you can turn them, adjust them to keep the snow in. Do you prefer that over a like V plow or anything?
Yeah, I have a V plow also. The whiteout's just so much more flexible. V plows are great if you're pushing roads, and you're not trying to go around a corner and push snow around a corner. The whiteout, you can capture more snow when you go around corners and turn. And the V plow can get smaller, but the whiteouts I think I can make my whiteout 8 feet or 10 feet. And so I can get into these small little apartment complex areas. And the other advantage to the whiteout of the V plow is they're lighter. V plows are heavier. There's more meat on the front of your truck. But I think if I had wings on my V plow, I would like it better. But with anybody that runs a whiteout, you won't like a V, because the controls are like opposite, and so you just feel so limited when you use a V. If you've never used a whiteout, you probably would like a V better than I would. But for me, I'm not a V plow guy. I'm going to sell mine and get a whiteout as soon as I can.
I love them too. We had, I'm not sure if it was Blizzard that first came out with them, because that's what we had for a while, the Blizzards, and now we have the Western whiteouts.
Yeah, I think General Dynamics bought out Blizzard, and then they also make Snowy X is also owned by General Dynamics, and they make their version of the whiteout also. And I think it's the same exact plow, just a different color.
Yeah. Now I enjoy those. I feel like I can plow circles around anybody with a straight blade or V plow. That's nice.
I've used them all, and my numbers, and I've used skid loaders, and my numbers, my times are less with my whiteout than any other equipment I've ever used. And so I've got parking lots I've plowed for 10 years, and like this IHOP I've taken care of for like 10 years now, and I've plowed it with every piece of equipment I've ever had. And I've got it down to like 20 minutes, where it used to take me an hour and a half with a straight blade. I have a better truck now, and I'm also better at it. But the whiteout is definitely the most efficient plow for me.
Yeah,
it's really only compared to a straight blade, it's like $2,000 more. And so for me, it pays itself off in one winter in the efficiency that it adds.
Absolutely. So what kind of accounts do you normally do? Do you do residential, commercial, a little mix?
We do it all.
Yeah.
My service will probably be close to 300 sites. Some of those sites are a 20-foot sidewalk, and some of those sites are 6 acres of concrete. And so I do HOAs, businesses, hospitals, a little mix of everything. And it's you're probably 200 of them are residentials. We take care of several property management companies, and so we've got one client that has 50 residential stops. And so in our town, it is required that you remove the snow off of any public sidewalk within 24 hours.
Okay.
And so that's what makes our property management gig an easy sell, because one, they don't like being in the paper for code violations. And two, they want to get rid of the liability for the renters. And
Sure.
so that's been my really good, that was how I started big in the residential snow removal, was property management companies.
Okay.
I love those little Toro 721 power clears, rubber paddle snow blowers. They're really light. They're really fast. For small driveways, those things are great. I've got about 12 of them now, I think. So, but
what other you have? You know, you mentioned skid steers. Do you have pushers on them? Do you have straight blades on them, or?
I no longer use skid loaders for snow. If I had a site close to my office that was a big, more than 3 or 4 acres, I would maybe use it again. But it's always been a liability, unless you're just going to leave it on one site. For me, I've had one accident while pulling a skid loader around in a snowstorm, and every winter that one of my employees did, every winter we had at least one accident. Sometimes you pull into a flat parking lot and there's ice under the snow, and it doesn't matter. You got 7,000 pounds behind you, you're just going to slide.
Yep.
So for me, it's safer. And I only had one skid loader for a few years. And so I just wanted to keep my skid loader here so I could load pallets of ice melt.
Yeah.
And so that, for me, I retired mine. I sold all my pushers for my snowplow. And I just feel like the whiteouts are more efficient anyways. So let's take the liability out and do it that way.
Yeah, we still have a couple. We have 3 skid steers. We have pushers on, then we have 2 payloaders as well. 1 mini payloader, 1 full size. We like those with the pushers on there because we have like some big like Sam's Club parking lots.
Yep.
Those make it easy, quick and easy. 14-foot pusher on there is so much faster.
Yeah. So I was hoping to get the Menards. They're just like 2 miles down the road for me. And I was going to drop my skid loader there and put a pusher on it. And so I could plow that. And then my ice melt guy could plow that and then get in a salter and then go salt. Yeah. And so that was kind of my plan, but I didn't get the contract. So I'm not going to do it.
So what else do you run do you have salters and everything else? What kind of salters?
Yeah, so I actually only use bagged ice melt. Okay. It's probably, I have it set up in a way that I always make money with ice melt, regardless. But I don't have room for bins just for ice melt, and then a way to keep it dry, and then taking up space in my yard. So next year, I'll probably, once I get moved to my new shop, I will switch to big salters and bulk ice melt. But when I first started, using bagged ice melt was very simple. I knew I could measure the square footage. You know, this property needs 4 bags of ice melt, 200 pounds. You put your 4 bags in the salter, you spread it. You know you used the right amount. Yep. You know you made money, you didn't overuse, and you go to the next one. And you could, I could put 75 bags in the back of a 1-ton truck and do a ton of properties. So if you're big enough, I would say go to bulk ice melt for sure. There's better margins on it. You don't have a whole bunch of trash and you're not blowing trash out of the back of the truck. But when you're first starting out, it's pretty easy to know what you're doing, not overuse your salt, and make money by using bags.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things we have is because we do bulk salt, and is trying to teach somebody to tell how much salt they've actually used at a time. That's I've tried like actually going out, timing the salt sprayer. I'd fill it up, know how many tons I put on there, time it, and then say, okay, so we spread whatever 200 pounds a minute or whatever it is. And okay, you're there for 7 minutes, multiply it out. I've tried that. It's always hard. That's the hardest thing I found.
Yep, I've asked other guys, like, yeah, it's certainly because I've spread ice melt for 20 years, and so I just know when enough is enough. But
Yeah.
how do you repeat it and train it? And I've asked some other large commercial snow guys this question, and they say, well, it doesn't matter that much because your bulk ice melt is so much cheaper that you still you're doing good.
Yeah.
And so, but you still don't want to waste, and you don't want to over apply because it really damages to the grass and the concrete and everything else. So
yeah, it's definitely hard. And one thing I will say is we've had some accounts that are, because our shop's kind of centrally located, and so we have accounts that are a little bit further out. And the problem is like if they go out to that far one, they got to come back and fill it with salt, or if they used it up already. So that does take some time. That's the one thing you got to keep in consideration is kind of your route density and everything too. So
yep, that's my concern. We do a hospital in Junction City, and it's about 40 minutes from my shop. And I can fit enough in a 1-ton truck for that entire route as long as you don't overuse. But with a big bulk salt, it would be super easy to run a little short. You miss one drive entrance, and you got to go all the way back.
Yeah.
And that's gonna, you're losing an hour and a half during snow time. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, well, especially when it's snowing and you got traffic, it slows you down. It's like I've been in there where you're driving, like, come on, let's go, But
and so we have to get on the interstate to go to this town, and they close down the interstate. And so there's a back route, but it's a 2-hour back route.
Ouch.
And so, yeah, ouch. So that's kind of I'm always nervous about switching on that route, but I think I would want a large salt, a really large, like a 4-yard probably, so that way I knew I just had too much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we run a couple Snow Dog, like the 2,000-pound, the plastic ones, and then we have a couple stainless that hold. We've actually put sides on them. They hold 3-ton on there. So then we have a bigger one as well. But it's nice, the bigger ones. I like that. It's so much easier. But
yeah, okay.
So when you're salting, do you have your guys, they plow it and they salt it if it's required, of course, on that property, or do they come back, or how do you normally run that?
I have a little of both. I have one route that goes east, and there's only a handful of properties, and so he's got a small Snow EX 225, holds 225 pounds, and he handles all his own salt. And then on my route, I plow a bunch of apartment complexes that just take more. It would be wasteful of my time to stop and ice melt them. And so I have my big salter comes through after I've got those done and hits those for me. So I have a little of both to make sure we're efficient. We don't have to hit both ends of our service area with one truck or send 2 trucks just for 100 pounds ice melt. So it works to do it that way for me.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about equipment. What would you say some of the advantage of somebody that does get into snow plowing? I know you mentioned it could help you get into some of the maintenance side of things.
Yeah. So I've gotten a ton of commercial contracts for maintenance just because they found us during snow removal, and then we were so reliable and they were so impressed. They're like, oh man. So snow removal was a big end for me for commercial maintenance. Commercial maintenance can be really hard to get. It really can. But as soon as you get in the door with snow removal, and then when we send our invoices, all our invoices in the wintertime say something about get ready for spring and sign up for maintenance contracts and this and that. So without even trying, we naturally advertise to all our snow customers for that. I don't even know how many commercial contracts I've gotten from snow, but it's quite a few. Yeah. And I've had people that dropped us on maintenance and then hired us back up again because they're disappointed in how unreliable other people were for snow removal, and then they pick us back up on again.
Yeah, I know that's around here. We've got a lot of people like to have just all around, a person, a contractor can do everything: the snow maintenance, lawn, or cleanup and everything like that. That's definitely helped us.
Yep.
Um, what do you think is like the most important thing for, like we talked about earlier, somebody getting started? Some of the things to kind of get out there to get contracts. How would they go about doing that?
During snowstorms, so one thing I think would be, you got to advertise. So social media, the similar avenues where you normally advertise. But then during a snowstorm, if you answer your phone and say, I'll come and do it, when you're first starting, your list shouldn't be that full anyways. And so if you come and do it and then you just start picking them up, and then they're going to tell their friends. So that word of mouth thing is the biggest winner. So I actually have somebody ride in my truck with me just to answer the phone so I can respond, and then I can issue out my other crews wherever they're going, just so we can capture those new clients. That first snowstorm's the key. That's when people are like, oh shoot, I don't have snow removal lined up, and there's 3 inches of snow in my parking lot. What do I do? First person that answers the phone, price doesn't matter. Whoever can get here and do it first, they're getting it, and then you just be reliable from that point on, and you'll maintain it. Yeah. And so I've got some that I'm like, man, I've already worked 20 hours. Sure, I'll do it for $500, and they're still my client 5 years later, at the price that I quoted them right off the fly. That was probably too high, but I was there. I was reliable. Now they know they can depend on me, and boom, I've got a great snow contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we always have the issue, and we send our snowplow contracts out, and they don't sign them. We call them, yeah, we'll get to it, and the first snow comes, and then they're freaking out, like, oh crap, and they call us, and same thing, first one get out there. Yeah, it's always a little struggle at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and I would say get on social media. When I first started, Craigslist was the place, and I picked up. It sounds crazy that you pick up great contracts on Craigslist, but I think the market's a little different now. So I'd say local buy-sell trade pages. The night before a storm, just throw up a few ads here and there, and just say, hey, we got some slots open in our snow removal. Get on Marketplace, throw it up there, and those are places where people will be searching right off the bat wanting to find somebody local.
Yeah, and that's for more of the residential, or you find it for commercial, both?
Either or. Yeah. A business is desperate and they're looking. A lot of times it's the store manager of a franchise or a chain, and the general manager's looking on Facebook. That's where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah. Do you find it, or do you think it'd be easier for somebody getting started to kind of start off with residential, or have a mixture of both, or?
I jumped in. I jumped in really fast. My first year, I only had one commercial contract, but I didn't start until late November, and then maybe a couple dozen residentials, and then the next year, I got a property management company that gave me a whole bunch of residential. And then I worked all year and scored some commercials. So kind of depends on your capabilities. For me, I wouldn't want a plow truck doing residential driveways. It's not a great use. But right off the first year, you maybe need to. But residential snow is super easy and it's fast money. Yeah. We do a residential driveway in 5 to 7 minutes, and with a 2-man crew, and get $40 to $45. And so you could do 5 or 6 or 7 in an hour if you have good route density. And some of my residential routes, we do just as good with snow blowers, little $700 Toro snow blowers, making $250 an hour. So residential snow is often overlooked, and I would definitely go after it. It's the same thing, because those turn into maintenance contracts all the time.
Yep. I know, at least around our area, we get a lot of people that are always looking for subs too, especially the bigger companies. They always need people to drive, and if you have your own equipment, you can go sub out for them. I don't know if that's in your area too, but we do have a lot.
For me, I don't like using subs. I got my name on it. Subs have not always been reliable for me. So I just make sure that I have the capability. And so personally, I don't use subcontractors. It, I've just always been able to do it without. So, I don't have a lot of knowledge there, I guess.
Yeah. I know in our area though, there's some big national companies that come in and then they'll sub out to somebody just to salt or, push with their skid steer or whatever too. And then we also have some big companies that come in and they have 20 skid steers sitting out there in a big parking lot and plow a whole strip and stuff. But subs are kind of a bigger area in our area. We only subbed out a couple people, and it's usually using our equipment. We've subbed out a couple other payloaders for the bigger parking lots, but it's kind of worked out for us. But we've dealt with these people for years and worked with them for years, so we kind of know them. So
I do have a couple concrete contractors that are on speed dial. Mm-hmm. So I know if my truck breaks down, I can call this guy.
Yeah.
He's going to want to make some solid money for it, so it's going to cut into my margins a lot. But I do have subcontractors as a backup plan. So
kind of on to like the contracts and getting paid and everything, and what to charge. What's your thoughts on that?
So me personally, I never charge hourly. When I first started, I thought hourly was great. I was at $125 an hour when I first started, and I was like, that's sweet. And I thought that was good money. But as my equipment got better, and I'm still making $125 an hour, and so I'm like, well, I got to charge $200 an hour to be where I want to be. And then people are like, oh, you're crazy, $200 an hour. I'm like, but I'm fast, and so it's still going to be cheaper than a guy at $125 an hour because I just have way better equipment. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I price per push for everything whenever possible. And on top of that, I run super hard. And so I know I'm putting extra wear and tear on my truck, but per push, I can get into $600 an hour, where if you told somebody $600 an hour, they would tell you goodbye.
Yeah.
And so part of the way I price things out, hop on Google Maps, measure the parking lot. I measure the parking lot. I calculate how much ice melt it needs, and I know I just need to charge more to plow it than it would cost to ice melt it. And that calculation always pretty much works solid for me. Mm-hmm. I get around 6,000 square foot out of 50 pounds ice melt, and I charge a minimum of $75 to spread or to pull in and even do an ice melt treatment. And that buys you 3 bags of ice melt. Mm-hmm. Usually takes 3 bags of ice melts, takes 2-3 minutes probably. And then on something that was 18,000 square feet, I could probably plow that in 15 minutes, and then I'd be at $100, $125 for it. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I've always priced it, is I measure it square footage, how much ice melt, charge more for the plowing than the ice melt because it takes longer, more wear and tear.
On your per push prices, do you have 1 to 3 inches, 3 to 6 inches, or is that just a flat fee?
I usually kind of let the client see what they want. On a larger property, I always do a scale. Mm-hmm. If it's a 6-acre parking lot and it has a foot of snow versus 6 inches of snow, it's going to take a lot longer. Mm-hmm. But if it's a 15,000 square foot parking lot, it's not going to make a huge time difference for me if it's a bunch of snow or not. Mm-hmm. But so I sometimes I do a scaling and sometimes I don't. Depends on the parking lot. Depends on the client. Mm-hmm. So that's nice. how I do it. Some clients don't like to see a scaling price, and some clients do.
Yeah.
So
now I know on salt you do it per bag. Do you charge per bag, or do you charge it's going to take roughly 5 bags for this parking lot? And how do you normally do that?
So I put on all my plow sheets how much they should put down. Mm-hmm. And so I still only charge what I estimated, and we only put down what I estimated. If they need a second hit, it's going to be the same price as the first. Mm-hmm. We're going to add another event to it for a second ice melt treatment. We're going to put it down the same amount again.
Mm-hmm. Do you have separate or different clauses in there too? If it is like a winter storm or a blizzard or anything like that? I know in ours we do.
So I just leave all mine as per push, and
Okay.
some clients want you to maintain, and then every time I push it, I charge them the per push fee.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they want me to wait till it's done, we'll wait till it's done, then we'll push it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't really had a storm that lasted that long in the last couple of years, so it really hasn't been an issue. But sometimes it'll snow and stop, and we plow everything, and then it starts snowing again. So in 2 days, we plow everything twice, and I charge everything twice.
Yeah.
I always make money that way.
Yeah. Do you let your guys know too, like you want it to be done? Like obviously a hospital is a little bit different situation, but most of your places don't open till 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Do you tell your guys try to get it done by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, something like that?
No, not at all. I always tell my clients that that's not an option. Mm-hmm. I don't know when it's going to start snowing. I don't know when it's going to stop snowing. And if you can tell me that, then I'll tell you when I can be there. I have my guys work through the route in order as efficiently as possible. We do adjust our route according to the day. And so if it's Sunday morning, I'm hitting my churches first. Mm-hmm. I'm still within reason. I'm not going to hop around super bad. But sometimes, so we'll start on churches Sunday morning or Saturday night to make sure churches are done. If it's Monday morning, churches go to the back of the list, and my Monday morning businesses like my IHOPs and restaurants and places that is. So we kind of just, depending on the day and time, we adjust the list just accordingly to try to make everybody happy, but still work through it efficiently.
Gotcha. Yeah. One thing I'll say, we do a lot of hotels. There's a lot of hotels in our area, and to me, those can be kind of a pain in the butt because it will go in there, open them up, and then you have to kind of wait till everybody leaves, and it's usually like 12, 1 o'clock. Then you got to go back. So it's always kind of a pain for us to have to go back just to clear up those parking spots.
So I add an extra charge for that if they want me to do a return cleanup visit. We can do that, but it'll probably be a minimum plow fee, so we can come for $75 and come clean up the parking lot after everybody's left.
Yeah, we do that too. It's something to keep in mind for everybody just kind of getting started. You may have to go back. There may be a requirement to go back and clean up things. And
and with snow, you always should be making money. So don't let people boss you around. Be like, yep, we can come back, but it's going to be, I'm not going to charge you the full rate this time, but it's going to be a minimum plow fee. Yeah. And if it's only a couple minutes, sometimes I won't charge it. Just, I also want my parking lots to be the best parking lots in town. So, on my important stuff, I do just kind of do a spin through after I'm all done, just to make sure everything looks good. But if you're going to go back and they intentionally want you to come clean out stalls and stuff like that, put it in there, extra fee. Yeah.
So when you have your guys go out and plow, do you kind of assign them, they have a certain route they're going to do, start here and finish up here and then go help out? Or how do you normally route your crews?
So each plow truck, they have their own route, and then they've got a secondary route, which is somebody else's plow route. So if they get done early, start on the back of this list. And then I've got commercial snowblower crews or commercial snow crews, and they're usually like walkers with plows or mini skid steers with plows for like larger HOAs. They work through their lists, and then they have the blower crew list. So if they're done early, they'll go help the blower crews. My blower crew list is one monster list. It's like 125 properties, and there's 3 crews. One crew starts on the top, one crew starts on the bottom, and one crew starts in the middle. And each property's numbered, and so I can check in and say, what number you at, and they can just tell me I'm on 120 and working up. And when they're done, they know to start on the back end of one of the other 3 crews lists. And so I kind of have a backup for everybody, just in case one crew has a snowblower go down and they're not going to be as fast. The next crew's going to help catch up. And then nobody quits till everybody's done, except for the salt guy. Salt guy always works last. But nobody quits till the whole list is done. And that keeps everybody's morale up. If they're tired and hurting, they know that everybody else is still working until everybody is done. And And so the plow truck guys, if we get done, we start on the blower list and go help the blower guys, or we go help once all the plow routes are done. So everybody helps everybody. And the end of the storm, we all go eat breakfast or lunch or dinner. And I buy everybody dinner or breakfast. And then I usually go back out and work a few more hours just because I'm addicted. But that way, that keep everybody's morale is done after your 12 or 14 hours in it. And everybody knows that everybody's working together and everybody's going to help somebody else when we get to the end. And so that helps keep that momentum going and the morale going. And then the guys make it a race because they're like, "Ooh, I did 120 to 160 and you only did 30 and I did 50." And put a little competition in it and keep some morale up too.
I like that. Now, as far as your crews, your sidewalk crews and everybody, how do you let them know? How do you get them prepared to go out? And what are your requirements as far as, if they don't call or you call them and they don't answer, what do you do for that?
You only get one freebie. If you don't show up, then you get pulled off my list. You get one freebie, and after that one, that's it. I'm not going to call you anymore. I give snow bonuses. Everybody gets more money per hour. Usually, if we have a good snow winter, everybody that made it through the snow winter, I'll give them a jacket or a hat or something like that. And so then I also ask my guys if they're going to leave town in the winter, and we know there's some snow coming, let me know. So I make a backup plan. And I've got enough employees and then enough people with friends that I'm able to field plenty of staff every time.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of all the plow trucks. And so I make sure all my plow truck guys know to come. I've got one guy in charge of the commercial crew, and he lets everybody on the commercial crew know to come. I have one guy in charge of the blower crew, and he makes sure all the blower crew guys come. And then we usually do a text stream, and if we see there's going to be a gap or a hole somewhere, ask all your friends, post it on Facebook, and we can usually find enough people.
Yeah. Do you let your guys know like 24 hours in advance, and then you give them an hour or so before they have to show up?
Yeah, we do a reminder the night before. Hey, snow's coming. Make sure everybody knows. Usually a day in advance, and we're usually here a day in advance, working in the shop, making sure everything's pristine and nothing's going to go bad. And get the plows on. Make sure there's no hitches. It's stressful enough, so I don't want to be stressed on getting things loaded when we're waiting. It's definitely tough to know when to call people. I had last year, and I jumped the gun, and I had my guys sitting here for 5 hours in the shop before the storm was done. I thought it was going to be done, but it wasn't. So we hung out at the shop. We watched the movies. We got pizza in. Everybody was kind of just hanging out.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to do this. So, and then sometimes if I do that, I should have sent them home in their trucks and then said, all right, now you need to go. But it was hard to know. Yeah. Can't ever know. You don't know when it's going to start. You don't know when it's going to stop.
Yeah.
So.
I know some of the like big events we've had, some of the like bigger snowstorms, we've actually kept guys and we've actually put them up overnight in hotels and stuff in our area. Just there's no point in sending them home when they go home or go there, sleep for a few hours and then go back out. It's kind of worked out. But
my guys that live, more than 15 or 20 minutes away, they're sleeping on somebody's couch usually the night before.
Yeah.
There's usually somebody on my couch. Or my supervisors, they got a house that a bunch of guys hang out at, and there's a bunch of guys just sleeping on the couch the night before, just so we're all ready.
Yeah.
So
nice. What are some of the like key numbers that somebody should consider, when they're snowplowing or just getting started too, so they know how much to charge or how many pushes or whatever?
So every market's going to be different. In the Midwest and below, where we're only getting 5, 6, 7 storms a year, we're going to be a lot higher in demand, and we get to charge a little bit more, I think. If you go up north where they're getting 15, 20, 30 snowstorms in a year, you're going to be at a different price point than my market. So I'd say in the Midwest, when you're only plowing 4 or 5 storms a year, you need to charge a lot more because, one so my truck's a $50,000 truck with a $7,000 plow and a $5,000 Salter on it. And I only plow 5 times in a winter. I need to justify that. And so, a minimum price in the Midwest would be $125 an hour, I think. And when you're starting out, you can be there. And what I did is, as I got more efficient equipment, when I started, I was shooting for 125 an hour. And then as my equipment got better, I cut my times in half. I still charged that same per push where I was shooting for 125, and now I get it done in 15, 20 minutes. And so that's where I would shoot for a snowplow. Salting, don't even shoot for an hourly price. I really like to base it on the amount of salt, and I sell it as an ice melt package. You're getting 200 pounds of ice melt for $100, and it includes the ice melt, includes the labor. Keep the hourly rate out because 200 pounds of ice melt only takes 5 minutes. But know that you're destroying your truck. There's preventive maintenance, but you're still destroying your truck. Forward and reverse is terrible in trannies, terrible in transfer cases. You eat tires, you eat brakes, and you need to charge for it. So,
say another thing to consider too is your insurance, because your insurance, especially start getting commercial, you're going to have to change your insurance policy to cover more possible damage, I guess.
Yep. And with insurance, I would say be careful. Some people are going to ask for some ridiculous stuff from your insurance company, and I would refuse. I turn down snow contracts that want me to guarantee more than I can guarantee. So I would be careful with insurance requests, and a good insurance agent will make sure they're doing the right thing. So I've given up on some commercial contracts that wanted me liable 100%, and I'm like, it's ice. I can melt it, but somebody could trip on a crack in the curb and still want to sue me for it, even if I had the parking lot perfect. So I don't want to. It's not worth taking any. Snow's great, but it's not worth putting your risking your business for it.
We've been hit by the lawsuits a couple different times. We actually, one lady, I'm pretty sure it was 5 or 6 years in a row, she kept trying to sue for the same incident. Supposedly, she kept getting denied by the insurance, but it's definitely a risk you have to be willing to take, I guess. So.
Yep. There is a risk.
I'd say going kind of real quick back to some of those numbers. I would say to possibly reach out if you're kind of getting started, you're not sure how many snow events you have. Kind of talk to some of the people in your area that do the snow plowing and see how many pushes they're doing, and kind of just get an idea on things. So you have an idea. Like here last year, I know in our area we did it was 19 snow events we had last year.
Wow.
And that was actually down. That's down quite a bit. So, but just have an idea of how many events you have in your area, and most guys around you will be willing to help, and talk to you. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. And you don't necessarily have to get in the prices if you don't want to, but find out how many pushes they're doing and kind of learn, how much salt you're going to take, and reach out to Derek. He can kind of give you an idea as far as how many pounds of salt will go out in the parking lot and like that. So don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, and if you make a connection with some of those guys, they would potentially subcontract to you. Make that relationship. A lot of guys that have been doing it for a long time have all the contracts they want, and they would either sub stuff to you or just refer people to you. Yeah. So that's a good place to go. Yeah. But using the weather, what they say is snow events isn't going to be accurate to be plowable events or treatable events. So the weather service isn't going to be an accurate place. You need to go to a snow removal company.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing too, like we found, just to kind of protect us, because we do a lot. All we do is commercial stuff, and we've had where the management firm is down in Texas and we're in Indiana. They have no idea what goes on, and they start questioning. Well, you're supposed to start at 2 inches. Well, it's 2 inches. So we do have some weather programs that we kind of track of each snow, and then we take a screenshot of it. Our Crown Point received 4 inches of snow. That way we have a screenshot. They received 4 inches of snow. That way the people down in Texas, they say, you went out too early. Well, here's how much snow we received according to this website. So keep that in mind.
Yep. I always I have a ruler in my truck, and I take it out and check, and then do a timestamp on it and take a picture, and I keep tracking that. Also, because you work 30 hours straight, you don't remember how many inches you had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you know what to charge.
Yeah. We had a couple HOAs that they were pretty particular. It had to be 2 inches, and they were pushing it. A couple times it'd been like 2 1/4. Well, why'd you come out? Well, it's 2 1/4, 2 1/2, or whatever. And having the ruler is a good thing to have. So
yeah, they want to know how many inches were there on their property sometimes, and that can be super annoying because 20 feet that way could be 2 1/4, and 20 feet that way could be 1 1/4.
Yeah.
And so I go find me a spot that says 2 1/4 and take a picture and say, if you can catch the house with the address in the background, makes it easy.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good point, because the wind will blow that stuff from here over to here, and it'll be 2 feet in the back and 2 inches in the front. It's can definitely change. So
I'll pull up one of my contracts. I can't remember my wording, but I have something in there that says something about drifting snow. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find it. So, drifting snow may necessitate additional plowing regardless of total snowfall amount. And so, boom, it was drifted. It was over this, I had 6 inches in front of every garage on an HOA in a 2-inch storm. I was like, well, should that be at the 6-inch rate or the 2-inch rate?
Yeah.
I'm in it for the money. And so we did do 6 inches on half of it and 2 inches on this side. And so I just charged them a split rate. Mm-hmm. And so, because, with snow, you're just in it. You got to make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard. It's brutal. You got to pay everybody more.
Well, it's almost like an emergency type service. They need it open because they don't want to get sued by anything. So it's one of those things that it's high demand. You could be called out holidays or whatever, downtime. You don't really have any downtime as an owner of snowplowing, especially if you're active in it.
Yeah, I'm hoping for next year maybe I can. Snow removal is my baby. I'm hoping next year maybe I can pass it off to one of my up and coming managers, so I can get some winter vacations.
There you go. All right, Derek. Well, is there anything you want to add?
Oh, let me run through my notes and see if we got anything that we missed. One thing for me. It's all about culture with my employees. I get them hyped up about snow, and like we're the baddest snow company in town, and we're going to work really hard, but we're all going to work together. And like I build a culture around our snow removal that gets everybody pumped up. And there's kind of a little bit of only the strong will survive, and a little smack talking goes on. And if you quit in the middle of one snowstorm, you no longer work for me. And so just because I can't have anybody, you got to go the whole storm. So we build up a culture. We have fun with it. I take really good care of my guys for snow removal. Everybody gets a couple extra bucks an hour. There's beer in the shop afterwards. I buy them breakfast every storm. We had a really stellar snow year a couple years ago, and so I took everybody on a weekend trip, got a big Airbnb, like a big reward for everybody. So share the success with your employees, and that's really the key to once you start getting to a bigger snow crew is you got to keep that morale up, and you got to keep your crews together. So you really, if they're working slow and dragging butt, you're not really going to do that great. But if you get them rolling, you can really make some great money doing snow removal.
Yeah. I don't know. We've had pretty good luck with it, and everybody kind of gets hyped up when they get going out there. I don't know about the coldness or whatever, but everybody keeps pushing through until you get about 12 to 15 hours. Then everybody starts to kind of go down a little bit, but that's kind of natural.
Yep. And when you're first starting out, I think the longest storm I've ever worked, was, I think, 38 hours. And it was brutal and inhuman. But, I was able, I thought at the time it was just amazing money for me. And I was able to go out and buy a brand new snowplow because of my efforts that one day. And my next storm didn't take me nearly as long because I had a lot better plow. Yeah. And so when you first start out, you really, it's not abnormal to be doing 2 crews worth of work with 1 crew, so you can afford the equipment for splitting it into 2 crews next. Yeah. I wouldn't advise debt on snow removal equipment. In 2019, we had 8 or 9 snowstorms. In 2020, I had 0. And so if I had taken $100,000 in debt for snow equipment, I would have damaged the rest of my company. And it would have been bad. So you try to be cash only, or if it's a truck that you can use all year round, debt's not as bad, but buying a bunch of stuff that's only snow, I wouldn't advise it. So
yeah, I agree with that. That's a great point. We always try to buy equipment that we can use year round. Obviously the snowplow and salt spreaders, those have their place, but yeah, we usually try to buy, if it's going to be a truck, it's something I can use in the summertime for landscaping, in the wintertime for snow, whatever it is. But
yep.
I guess we did buy the Ventrac. That was the only thing that we did purchase. It does have the mower on there, but we use it more for snowplow than we do for mowing and stuff. But that was a little bit of a reach, I guess.
Yeah, I put plows on my walkers, and those things work great. Yeah. So that the walkers were kind of a little more expensive mower, but it really justified being able to plow snow with them also. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Derek. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and definitely enjoyed talking snowplow with you. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
I actually like to try to get you guys on a Facebook Live with you and my dad, and get a couple of guys on there, and we'll do a little Facebook Live for all this. But
no, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Fingers crossed we get a little bit of snow this year.
That's what I'm hoping for. We actually had a little bit yesterday, not much, nothing to stick, but it was starting to snow, so that's good.
Yeah, I did ice on my first ice melt treatment yesterday morning. So
nice.
I'd rather be landscaping right now. So that's not what I wanted, but we'll take it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Derek. Well, thank you again, and appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.